And now, stand and cheer for your BBL Weekly.
Hello, welcome to another edition of Talking Basketball Podcast. I am Mark.
I am Paul. Hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
I've got the greatest guest of all time with me.
There seems to be an additional person with you.
I am in Northern Studio, and I've got an absolutely huge guest who said they would briefly speak to us for a few minutes.
Well, please introduce them.
This guest does want to stay slightly anonymous, but I can introduce her.
Go for
as
it.
May G, head of security during the Portsmouth FC basketball club days. May, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
Welcome to the Talking Basketball Podcast. So, you were tell everyone you were just looking after a door. That's what Mick asked you to do, right?
So I was a parent volunteer down at the Mountbatten Centre for all the England games. So there were 3 doors onto the main court, and people were walking through the centre door straight onto under the basket. So Mickey B, he said, May, I want you to stand there and divert them to either of the other doors. And then when the game started, I would have a seat under the basket and have a perfect view for the whole match.
That is a great view, isn't it, Mark?
Yeah,
that
it's
is probably
fantastic view. Fantastic.
One of the best views you could get for those games. And you saw, it wasn't just the England, it was the Portsmouth FC Basketball Club, wasn't it?
It was definitely Portsmouth. Brilliant.
And what were those days like for the listeners who weren't there? What was Portsmouth basketball like?
It was, I would say, it was the best in the country, best in the south.
Of course, that goes without saying.
Hundreds of people coming to the matches. The atmosphere was brilliant. The players were fantastic. American players that came over.
What was the noise
Really
like?
good.
What was the noise like, mate? How loud was it?
It was very loud.
No, not that our listeners can't see this, but you should have seen May's face lit up then when you asked that question, what it was like. So, I mean, just a memory of those games and those days just brought a huge smile to your face. But even the intros and stuff like that, it was all special, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. So when everyone was seated, all the lights would go out, the music would start, and there'd be flashing lights all around the court, and then the players would come from the far door, run across the court and all around the court, high-fiving players as the people in the audience as the lights went up.
And who was your favourite player? Did you have a favourite player?
I had 2 favourite players, Colin Irish and Alan Cunningham.
So that's 2 players, arguably BBL all-time greats, one of which possibly one of the greatest BBL players of all time, / England players as well. Why were they your favourite?
Because of their expertise.
And
they were good fun.
And there was a great relationship between those players, and not just the community that was surrounding helping them for those match days, but even the fans. There was a closeness between players and fans, wasn't there?
It was electric. Everybody so encouraged Portsmouth. They loved Portsmouth. Sorry.
This is called stage fright, Mark. Stage fright. It took me an hour to convince her to speak. Hang on.
It was something that you look forward to every match. It was really, really exciting. If you didn't get there early, you didn't get a seat. It was really great. And my boys were involved. I used to take them, Andrew, Paul and Stephen, every match, and they were all involved. Andrew and Steve were the sweat boys. So they used to go on with the mops during the game. Paul used to just sit at the side enjoying himself.
I do remember one game, Mark, where I was sat right next to May, head of security, and Colin Irish was at the free throw line. And you know where everyone suddenly goes quiet?
Yeah.
It went deadly quiet. And I went, "Come on, Colin!" or something like that. And he missed it. And head of security, May G, turns around to me and says, "You missed that because of you." I remember that still today. Can you remember that?
No, I can't remember that. I remember Colin Irish falling in my lap at one match.
What happened there?
I bet
Well,
you
they
did.
all went, yeah, they all went up to the basket. It was such speed, and he just kept going. And I was right behind the basket.
It's not every day you have a BBL legend sat in your lap.
Not often, no. That doesn't
He
often
would
happen.
love that as well.
Absolutely.
But he just got up and carried on.
And as
like-
as head of security, how did you find it with so many people in
Head of security.
head of security in that small space?
But I wasn't head of security. I was mixed helper.
Head of security you are now. Look, no one's checking through those employee books. You're head of security. What was your question, Mark?
Like, there were so many people there, because we've seen some basketball events in Ravlin in the recent Portsmouth Force games, and that's what, a third, Paul? There's about 450 people at Ravlin, something like that.
Ravlin, the highest attendance so far has been over 450, but I don't know exactly what it is, but over 450. That was the last game. So
It's
in
3 times that in
yeah, 3
Portsmouth?
times.
Yeah, definitely 3 times that.
Yeah, that must have
And
been
what
fun.
happened after the games? You're involved there as well, weren't you?
After the games, we used to go into the reception with the players, have buffet and cup of coffee, talk to the players. Then the kids would come in, and as long as they behaved themselves, they were allowed to stay in the room and join in, have some food, which they all loved that. They all scrambled to the table.
I don't know why this just popped in my head, but because you were there, that the away team would have gone in there as well. Can you ever remember Steve Bontrager? Can you remember him? He would have had a crew cut. He was the one player for Kingston that everyone was always like, "Oh, bloody Steve Bontrager's done it again." Remember him?
Do, yes. But I don't remember him in the reception. But yes, I do remember him playing. Didn't you have your hair cut to be look like him one day?
Yes, I did.
I went to park the car, left the boys to go into the barbers, and I said I'll be right back. And when I went into the barbers, Paul was bald because he wanted a haircut to make him a better basketball player.
How did that work out for you, Paul? How did that work?
I hit 3 pointers. I think it was 8 or 9 3-pointers in my lounge. That, and like an hour after getting that haircut. Those facts speak for themselves. Fact. Right. May G, head of security. So, what? Any other memories? Do you have any other memories of Portsmouth FC basketball?
Well, all I remember is it was really just great fun, very exciting.
And what do you think of the Portsmouth Force?
They're brilliant. I really like them. It takes me back to those times down at the Mountbatten Centre. It's really exciting. I love them.
Has anyone asked you to do security yet for the Portsmouth Force?
No, I don't think so.
You haven't missed a game yet for the Force, have you?
No, been to everyone. I love it.
Unofficial head of security.
Unofficial head of security.
Maybe
there
like,
we go.
Like one of those secret shoppers that sits there that no one knows is actually head of security. Like, you know, when they have them on the planes, and they get the FBI person and they're in plain clothes, but really, Meiji the ringer. you cause trouble at a Portsmouth Force game, she's going to get you out.
Well, Mark, our Portsmouth FC Basketball Club head of security, May G, has only joined us for a brief moment. But there we go, a bit of an insight into those home games.
Thank you, May G.
Thank you, May G. Cheers, Mum. There we go. Head of security on the podcast.
Well, we do something everything is different every week.
That is why this podcast is so unique. No podcast is getting head of security from 4 years ago, Mark.
No. We certainly are not. That's,
well, there you go.
That's doing something
That's
different.
a little surprise for you, isn't it, Mark?
Always a nice surprise.
A little surprise for you.
Always
Right.
nice surprise to see Mama G on the video calls.
There you go. Head of security for the Portsmouth Force. Right, BBL Weekly.
Yes.
What a great start to the BBL Weekly. Yeah.
So, Paul, we're back into the BBL. This is week 28 of the championship. And I had to look it up because it said round
What a
28, not week 28, but it's round 28.
What a finish.
Yeah.
What a finish, Mark.
Yeah, it's the way to end it, isn't it? If you want to, what's funny is you always think towards the end when you're coming into any playoffs, do you sit back a little bit if you know where you're going to be? But you can't do that in the BBL, like we said last week, because they
Negative.
every single team is fighting for something. They're all fighting for it, whether it's honour or whether it's just for that better position or home court advantage. So it's been a busy week. Eight games this week as well.
A lot of upsets.
Yeah, there's been a few upsets. There've been some surprising numbers. I mean, look, let's kick off the week. Lions versus Scorchers.
Hey, can I just give a shout out to someone real quick, Mark?
Okay, go on then.
I know you're gonna go into the detail of this, but you got to give a huge shout out to the Manchester Giants.
Yeah, massive.
Out of 34 games, they had won 7 games out of 34.
Yep,
that's 20%, or just a little bit over 20% of their games. Last 2 games of the season. Not to be a spoiler, but they're going up against 2 teams challenging for that 4th spot. And they get 2 wins. It's like, what? Like, no one saw that coming, did they?
All right, you steal my thunder. I'm going to steal the extra thunder. That's their first win of 2024.
Jeez.
All right, and I looked back, and the last time they won was December the 29th against Cheshire. That's the last win they had. They have not won this season.
Beat Cheshire.
Yeah, that was December the 20th. And that was like everyone was like, what? Maybe everyone was drunk from Christmas. Who knows? Or ate too much turkey. But either way, that was the last time they won. So they literally, and what I loved was the fact is it actually said that on Manchester Giants website, their own thing report actually put celebrating their first win of 2024. And I thought,
great.
Someone's written that wrong, surely. We had to go back at the stat. No. Can you imagine that? You've got to April. It's like April the 23rd. You've got to that point in the year and you have not won one basketball game.
I love the fact that they celebrate that.
That's brilliant. That is brilliant.
You know, and this is something when I'm coaching kids sometimes, I tell them, it's, when people are just like, there's something about you that can be used to upset you.
Yep.
And there's a saying that I'd nicked from Game of Thrones. Do you know Tyrion, right near the end, is talking to Jon Snow. He's like, hello, bastard. You know that bit?
No, I tapped out of Game of Thrones, didn't I?
Oh, God. Anyway, is the whole Jon Snow, is he a legitimate child and all that? And he says, wear that on yourself like armor, and then no one can ever use it against you. And that quote popped in my mind straight away when you about the Manchester being in the saying first win. Yeah. They're wearing it like armor. They say, yeah, that's our first win. We're wearing that.
Yeah. They totally owned it.
I love it. Love that. And this is a special little treat for the Manchester Giants. Hang on, bit of Irish crickets in their honour. That's for them. Mark, I'm in the Northern studio. It's fine.
You are in the Northern studio, which means you have beverages at your fingertips. Unlike my studio, which is 0%.
Right.
Still water. So let's go back. Lions versus Scorchers. I won't say you'd expect the win. Lions took that one. They were up 9 by the half with the Lions. So just to put that perspective on there, it wasn't that the Lions were actually going all out. Up 9 by the half, Lions Scorchers in the copper box. You would expect maybe a bit more of a stretch on there, but Sam Decker had a big dunk in that game. Came off the bench, captain, but he's been on and off because of injury. Came off the bench, Q3, big dunk. Just like drove. What can you do? Straight in the lane. They fed it to him. It was very fluid, and you go. That move, weirdly, you suddenly saw the difference between him and some of the other players. It was an NBA move. It looked very, very, very. I can't think of the word. It looked like one of those, not highlight reels, but you just saw it and thought that would be any NBA sort of game. That's just a standard move, but it looked like a highlight. It was a highlight for us. So that was good. But they just, after that Q3, they just put the foot down, kept the distance, and then they just kept it evenly. 97-85, 12 points, but I wouldn't say it was a dominant performance. They just played quite nicely in that game.
Matt Morgan, 24 points.
Yeah, he's had such a great season and a really good all-round player. I do wonder if London will keep him or manage to keep him, because the way he's played and the way a lot of European teams will be watching him thinking, we can just open our pockets, and London can't compete with that.
Yeah.
London can compete in the BBL, but when it comes to like Spain or Turkey, we've got no money compared to them. So yeah.
Mark, look, can I just highlight this, because you don't see this loads in the BBL, I don't think. And I love it when I can't remember his first name. Is it Saquon Jameson?
Oh yeah, Shaquan Jameson. Yeah.
For Surrey. 14 rebounds.
Big.
Like no one else on either team got into double digits for rebounds.
No.
Josh Sharma was the closest with 7 rebounds. Other than that, the most rebounds anyone got from both teams was 4.
Yep.
So I just want you got to recognize stuff like that.
The fundamentals are going to win those games. There's no question of that. And it was I must say, a good performance by everyone, sort of all round really. I really, really like the Scorchers. I think as a team they play quite nicely together. They're very good defensively, and they're quite I won't say solid team, but I think if they can get their scoring right, that they would be ticking up further, maybe into the 4th, 5th sort of positions. But so that was London Scorchers. We knew the Lions were at number 1. They're going to finish that way in the playoffs. So the next game was Eagles and Cheshire.
You're talking about my boys, Mark, now, yeah?
I got a strong affiliation with the Eagles.
Signed Newcastle Eagle top. They're my boys for the rest of the season.
Wow. Just till the end of the season. After that, go back
I didn't
to
mean
zero.
it like that. I didn't mean it like that. This is their penultimate home game.
Does that mean we send this back? We send the jersey back, then do it afterwards?
No. Sorry, this was. I said penultimate home game. It was the penultimate game of the season, but it was their last home game.
It was their last home game, yeah. And what a way to finish it.
I told you that was going to be a win to Newcastle.
Yeah.
You're talking about Cheshire going away, being second, fighting for that spot. And I was like, Mark, we have to go up to Newcastle to experience, all the things that we hear about, like the game day experience and stuff like that. And it's like, we've got to go to that. And it was one of those, it's just one of those dates where we both couldn't get up there at the same time. But I saw the result. I was like, man, I was gutted. I thought,
do you know what? That was, not only was that a strong win for the Eagles, I put down the stats for the quarters. 25 to 17 for Q1. You think, all right, Eagles are up. They're on home court. Cheshire have played a bit rough recently, so they've taken that advantage. End of the half, 47-46. It was a tied game. And you think, okay. 9 point got the advantage, Q3 again. And then Q4, they just stretched it. And Cheshire just couldn't get in the game. That was the big thing. It wasn't, I mean, Eagles were scoring on each possession, I think it's fair to say. It wasn't that they were dominant, but just Cheshire were just kept out. That was the big thing for them. I guess having the home crowd there, you could tell they used that. But Cheshire have definitely struggled towards the end of these last few weeks, and it's quite surprising. You think going into the playoffs, you'd want to be firing on cylinders, but maybe they just think we just need to rest for a bit. Who knows?
Yeah,
but that. But so
I
just
say Aaron Rye?
Yeah,
again, he's a player I really like. I love the fact that he's come up from the NBL.
Yep.
And he's just, even though he's on the losing team, 16 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists. I've got a little treat for you, Mark, as well with him.
Yep.
I've got a little treat for you. Check this out. So before he signed with the Cheshire Phoenix, I think he was playing for Hemel Storm.
Okay.
And I found this picture of him. This is where the Hemel Storm went undefeated.
Yeah, I like that.
For a whole season in the NBL Div 1.
That's
quality, isn't it?
Yeah,
and that's him there. Great, isn't it?
That's what you want. You want to see players that have a transit. We've talked about it with all the leagues in the UK English leagues, and obviously on Wales and Scotland and everything. It's you want to see progression. You want to take the 12-year-old. They see the kit that the professionals are wearing and go, if I do this and follow this, there's a pathway. You want to see that. So that's awesome to see someone who loves the game. But he, when people at the beginning, they were saying, how do you find playing at this sort of level? It's like, no, this is his, he's at his level. It's like, it's not, I'm stepping up. It's like, no, he was at that level already. He's a really solid player. But you've got to give shout out to Wk28 Rideau as well for 25 points, chicken out on there. And you're excuse me.
About both of them, both those guys, Wk28 Rideau and Aaron Rye, both players had a double-double.
Yep. And look, Maceo Jack, I know you like Maceo Jack. That there's a lot to be said for Cheshire, and they've got some great individual players, and they often can bring it together when it counts. But for some reason, some of these games, they're just not pulling it off. So that one, Eagles definitely won it. It wasn't someone's playing badly. The Eagles won that game. That's fair and square.
Hey, Mark, they sent me a jersey, so I got to say this. Ricky McGill with 24 points, Mark.
Yes, indeed. And don't forget Johnson
with 18, Austin Jr. 16,
Del Pesh 14, Green 13.
I know, all-round team performance.
All-round great performance. But then,
though I have not looked at free throw, if their free throw percentage has improved. I know you were disappointed with that last game.
Oh yeah, we're not. I've got a game for you on free throws. It was
no.
I've got a game for you for the free throws. Yeah. But look, free throws win games. It's all important. You've got to hit those shots. Anyway, Bristol Flyers Caledonia was the next game played on the same day. Bristol hosting, Caledonia on the road. Caledonia, strong team. Bristol, at the beginning of the season, arguably, were up there with Caledonia. They had two very strong teams, two very physical teams. You thought, okay, where are they going to go with this? Bristol just fell off the cliff. They didn't get over the suspension bridge, and yeah, they failed miserably. Green got
they only lost by 5 points. That's a little harsh.
No,
they
failed
lost
miserably
by 5.
in the season. In the season, they just fell off a cliff, and yeah, they've spent time trying to recover, and they put in some good games. They lost some big players from injuries, but Caledonia have just gone from strength to strength. Green, a Q1 buzzer beater, and it was like a 3-pointer. They were 19-21. They were down by 2 points. Green comes in, 3-pointer at the buzzer. That's in. Puts them
Quite
up.
Green.
Yep. Puts them up by 1. And you go, wow, that is something ridiculous. It's like almost even by like Q2. Q3, 49-55, and you're looking at it thinking, it's still not a lot in it. Caledonia have just started stretching their lead, but they don't. It was I'm not going to say a it was a slow game. That's the word I've written down, but I was trying to think of a better way to put it. But you know, when a game it seems more tactical, it's not very fluid or free-flowing. No one's getting big points. If you're thinking at the end of the quarter, one of the teams hasn't even, like third quarter, one of the teams hasn't even got 50 points. It's not a high-scoring game. 75-80, they finished on. I mean, the thing I wrote down here was Bristol have potential. And I think that's the thing that Bristol got to take away from that is...
Hey, Mark, Brad Green turned up. He turned up with 18 points, 16 rebounds.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, they had some players, and I think Bristol could have got a good, solid foundation, but they just weren't in the same ballpark as Caledonia. And Caledonia were not firing on all cylinders either, so...
I love their logo. I really like their logo for Bristol. We've said it so many times. I just, really like the logo. Mark, can I get a clap?
You want a clap?
Sound, please. Yeah. That is for the Caledonia Gladiators.
Why is that?
Not only did they win this game, but that's their highest finish in the league since 2017.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Wow. Because obviously people
great result
remember them from winning the trophy on that game winner last time. So that's what they remember.
Yeah.
For that. But yeah, for the season, that's a great, and you know, they've obviously invested a lot in the new grounds and what they're trying to achieve, moving across from Glasgow Rocks and the whole reorganisation. So I think that's, you know, what a position to be. You can only keep improving, can't you? And
well, if you talk about Scottish teams, you've got to talk about the Falkirk Fury. Got to talk about them.
Got to talk about the Falkirk Fury. Absolutely. So the next game, let's breeze through this one. Leicester-Manchester. This is easy to breeze through. Do you know why? Couldn't find it anywhere. Wasn't televised. Not that I could find.
That is a disgrace.
So you can fly on YouTube. You can fly on. Sometimes you have to go on Sky, or you have to look at the other bits. And so I couldn't find it anywhere. So, and that is a great shame because, as you rightly said, Manchester won that game 94-89, playing Leicester at home. You know, you think Leicester at home, you don't. They're in a good position in fourth, fifth, juggling for that right place. No, you don't want to play that. Manchester hadn't won a game in 2024. They take the win. So I bet Leicester were really shocked at that one.
Again, like what we said, there was no pressure on Manchester. We talked about this last week.
No.
There's no pressure on them whatsoever. All the pressure was on Leicester because Leicester had to get these 2 wins in the bag.
Yeah. Oh, they did. They absolutely did. And and Manchester upset them. They took that away, which is brilliant. And that's important because the next game that Manchester played was the very next day. So just to put it in context, the Lions and Scorchers played one day. Eagles, Cheshire, Flyers, Caledonia, and Leicester and Manchester all played the next day. Yeah. The following day, Manchester were playing the Eagles. So Manchester and Newcastle are both playing a back-to-back game. So they've both been playing somewhere else and then gone. One was away, one was home, and vice versa. So they've both had a back-to-back game. Not ideal. Manchester take the win at home against the Eagles. Like bottom of the league.
That's huge. That's huge.
So not only have they devastated Leicester, the next day they go and ruin Newcastle's plans as well. Absolutely massive. That was my game of the week.
But by doing that, I guess it kind of, for Leicester, it was like, oh, okay, we lost. Okay, but they lost. So
right. The name for that game is Stampley. That's it. If you're going to watch one game this week, watch that. Stampley comes in with a big 3 in Q2. Because Eagles were up like 10 points in the Q1. You thought, okay, that kind of makes sense.
Was that the game change, was it?
Oh, it was like, it was massive. It was a buzzer beater, and then it put the Giants up 46-45. It was
you have those moments.
Massive
momentum changes is what you're saying, isn't it?
It gets better. Q3, 1 minute left. Stampley gets the ball again in the 3-point line.
Boom.
Goes up, boom. Puts the Giants up 70-68. It's like every time Newcastle just like stretching it, he came in, bang. And it was enormous threes as well. And by Q4, it started at 70-70. It's all to play for in Q4. Newcastle might have thought we'd probably walk this, but they would have seen, obviously, Leicester got ruffled by the Giants, and they might have thought, okay, we might have to play a bit better here. But because they'd gone all out against Cheshire and dominated, and maybe they didn't have anything in the tank, who knows? But Stanley came in again. Another 3-pointer to go 83-85 with 2 minutes, well, just under 3 minutes. It's like 2 minutes 50 or something. So he came in again in the fourth quarter. Massive three, bang. 1 minute left, 87-87. It was like, what are you going to do? Nick Lewis, huge play. Then the Eagles, now I want your opinion on this because I don't know if you've seen this or not. But the Eagles had 1 minute to go. And then as they were playing down the clock at the end, you think, all right, they're going to let this be as it is. And they don't. They just run it, miss their opportunity. Manchester take the win. So they tried to, run that clock. They fumbled it effectively. They got the sort of timing wrong and they just didn't execute that whole. I'm not a fan of it. I don't like the whole running the clock down thing. And they just choked. They just got it wrong so badly.
I don't know. In my day, we called it corners.
87 with 1 minute left. What do you do?
Sorry, what is it? 87 what?
87 with 1 minute left.
I don't know. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer there. I don't know. Depends on the coach. Different coaches will go for different things there.
Yeah.
So I thought you said that they were up. If you're up, you're wasting.
It's 87-87, and you go, then what? So with 1 minute left, it's 87-87, and the score ends up 91-89 because they tried to leave that clock to run out, and it didn't. And then they just got a big win shot at the end. Bang! It's in, done. And you could just see the crowd went absolutely crazy. Last game for Manchester of the season. Win it.
Yeah.
And it erupted. And massive, massive respect to the whole Manchester crowd and everyone because they all were really, really they were so behind their team and loving every minute of it. You can't ask for more than that if you're a player on the court. Just having your...
Well, don't forget, Manchester's a great place to be for that crowd.
Yeah, absolutely. And, in the National Basketball Centre and everything. But massive, massive, massive respect to the crowd there because you could see them getting behind the team. And then, of course, when Stampley is coming in with his massive three, bomb, brings it within two. Next quarter, he does the same thing again, bomb. It's like they are not letting them get away.
Moments.
It was, and the crowd felt it and they reacted to it. It was so good to honestly, game of the week, 100%. I know Eagles didn't win that one, but it is what it is. You can't take anything away from Manchester. They definitely deserve that one.
And you got to talk about Nick Lewis as well. Nick Lewis, that game you're talking about, he had 29 points, but he had 23 points the game before. And specifically that game, he had almost had a double-double.
Yeah.
He was one assist away from a double-double.
Yeah. And when you're saying about him putting those sort of points up, you've got to remember that some of those, although I know it's 29 points, but it's critical points that he was putting up at those points where you just need that flip-flop and the game change. So Manchester absolutely, and we've seen it with some of the other teams when we've said it before, just because anyone's sort of below London, so to speak, it's almost an open field. Any team at any point in the BBL can just cause an upset.
Yeah. Well, we've seen it all season, haven't we? We've seen it all season.
Yeah.
But excuse me, that game in particular, William Lee, the impact he's had on the boards, like that last game you were talking about, he got a double-double.
Mm-hmm.
The game before, He's in double digits for rebounds.
Yeah.
You know, his contribution is, I want to say he's almost like one of those unsung heroes. I really like him.
No, he definitely is. And if you remember the beginning of the season, he came back from injury and he was sort of like, he's going to know.
He had that great first game back, or second game back, didn't
and
he?
everyone said, let's see how he does coming off the bench for his first game back. And he absolutely nailed it. And you're like, wow, okay. Watch him.
I want to say it was the second game.
Yeah.
The first game was quite, second game. I think the second game is the one you're talking about, is huge.
He just went big, didn't he? You think, okay. So, you know, first game back, you'd make sense. You want to, I might say make a statement, but you want to be safe. But second one, he just went for it. But yeah,
I mean,
full
Newcastle
credit to Manchester.
got to be disappointed.
So Manchester,
2-point loss.
Without question, Manchester are going to get.
So how what?
They get game of the week for that against the Eagles.
Game of the week.
I know that's your Eagles, and you've got your jersey up there, but Manchester, send us one. We'll get a jersey up. If you send us one, we'll put it up here as well. Because that deserves one on the wall. That was a great win. As much for your fans as for the players. But the next game,
I think we're a great supporter, and we're great fans, not just of basketball, but specifically the BBL. When you get these epic games, which
they're brilliant.
Clearly, obviously, this is a 2-point game, and I love the fact that you got this guy coming in, boom, free. But
it was I can't explain it enough. If you haven't seen the game, just watch it. When the guy hits that, the atmosphere just changes, and everyone is suddenly like, we're in with a shot with winning this. When I assume, you know, you're Q1, you're 10 points down, you're thinking, all right, okay, I can see where this is going. And it's the last game of the season, and everyone just went for it.
Yeah, but just go back to answer your point. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. It's 87 with a minute left.
Yeah.
Like, when you look back, it's really easy for us to sit here and go, yeah, they should have done this. Like, we're not professional basketball players. It's really easy for us to say it. But it's one of those moments where, what do they call it? Like sliding doors. If they wasted the clock and hit a big three, we'd be going, what a great play. But it just ended up the other way. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. The only thing I do think that I was going to answer about what you said, it's just got to be the right shot. It's just got to be a good shot. Whether it's within the first 2 seconds or in the 24th second, as long as there's a good shot, as the coach, I'd be happy.
Yeah. Well, this is it. Nick Lewis made that 2 points to put them up and take them over on that layup. And then Ricky McGill came back with the 2 points. Now you're into 50 seconds left. Following on from that, what happens? Nick Lewis gets fouled going in. And this is why I wanted to say it. You were talking about the game and why it was so important. The 2 points that they won by were both free throws.
You love your free throws going in, Mark, don't you?
Yes. But what did he do? The score is 89-89. They've got 33 seconds on the clock. He goes to the free throw line, hits both of them. You can't ask any more. And he's already got, at that point, he'd already had 27 points. Then he hits 28, and then he hits 29 to win the game under pressure with, 29, 30 seconds left. You cannot ask more for a player than that.
That's I know exactly what you're saying. I never played at any high level whatsoever. But when you just generally play in games, when you get to that point where you're shooting right towards the end, where you're like, this could be deciding. I used to go to the free throw line and get goosebumps. So those guys must be going. It's a moment you just got to be excited about, because it's like, hang on, I am in control here. I've got no one stopping me from shooting. I can take my time. I can, breathe in, breathe out, and then go for it and make that huge contribution towards the end of the game to say that we've won the game. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it now, about moments that I've been in that kind of situation. I'm sure loads of us have.
So they've got,
listening to it, been in that situation.
But they've got 33 seconds left. They do that. He hits those two. It's now 89, 87. And you think, 89, 91, whatever it is. And they see that, and then what? Newcastle call a timeout, 33 seconds left, and you go, wow, you just shouldn't have done it. But we live and learn. So, next game, Sharks and Patriots. Now, I would have expected...
I like the Sharks.
Look, the Sharks have so improved. So improved. I want to say this year. I won't say if it was the... I don't know if it was the trophy or what it was, but something changed with them. And they just started performing better.
I like the Sharks. I like the Shark Tank. And I don't know why I never thought a shark was grey and their kit is grey. But I like that as well.
Well, to be honest, I didn't really, at the beginning of the season, was thinking, I don't know where they're going to be competing. And couldn't have proved me more wrong as they've gone through this, certainly this back end of the season. They've really, really shown sort of their colours other than that grey kit, which it does suck. I can't do it.
I love it.
I
really like that kit.
Do you know what I'd say?
I think the saying is, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I think that's the saying.
So you said you like the Sharks, and I'm not a fan of the kit. Do you know what I would do with the grey? I'd have a dark grey and a light grey, or a dark grey and a white, so it looks more like the shark with darker back and then the white belly sort of thing. But they're all grey, the same colour. It just sort of doesn't translate on the TV, I think. But
I think on the actual kit, they should have a fin on the back as they run. It like sticks out like a shark. There is nothing in the rule book, Mark, to say you can't do that.
Is there not? Surely it would have to be like a regulation jersey, but I guess maybe not. Are all the jerseys have to be?
I don't know.
That would
I don't know.
genius.
I wonder if there's like a little clause that says you can't have any material coming off the kit. I don't know.
Like it's
got to be a standard
Phoenix,
jersey.
If you're the Phoenix, you could have like those arms where they like you put them in and you put them up and it's like feathers.
Like from that film. What's that film where she's got a bow and arrow? What's that one?
Oh,
Hunger Games.
Hunger Games.
Yeah, they should have the kit like that.
Yeah, but wouldn't the Eagles do that? That's what the Eagles would do, surely.
Eagles could do that as well.
Yeah, Flyers. You could do like Transformers and turn into some sort of plane, kind of like Optimus Prime. Actually, that'd be Starscreen, actually, wouldn't it? Starscreen.
With the Flyers, I don't know if they do this, but I mean, this is one of my absolute passions, thinking of all this stuff. But with the Flyers in particular, do you know World War II, the old when all the Germans were coming to bomb us and all that stuff?
Yep.
That's how they got to be doing their intro straight away, right?
The air raid siren.
Air raid sirens. They got to be doing that, or the old or maybe some stank from Top Gun. That'd be good. Something from Top Gun.
Yeah, I mean Top Gun, obviously American, not British. Mainly their aerospace over in Bristol. That's what it's famous for. Hence their planes. But seeing as the jet engine was actually made in Farnborough, it's more Airbus over there these days. But still, it would be something to do. I would argue if you did an air raid siren, there may be some people in the crowd who may not receive that too well.
Why?
The PTSD might kick in a little bit. I'm sure there's not too many people around, but you never know. You hear that, and suddenly someone's diving onto the court. It's. I
thought you were going to say the vegans are going to get upset, Mark.
Oh, they'd be upset with everything. It's like leather.
But that would be great.
Leather on the shoes. That's it. Done.
Imagine lights go out and then, and then you get the, and it just kicks in some music. Well, now, stand and cheer.
Yeah.
Hey, Mark, we need to get into this business.
The
idea central here.
The idea tank. Right, let's carry on.
You know what the
Sharks,
greatest thing in the Patriots is, by the way?
What's the greatest thing in the Patriots?
Paul James.
And
he's a bloody legend.
Why's that?
Because he's a bloody legend, Mark.
Okay.
Fact. They talk about teams getting wins in Plymouth.
Yep.
Paul James gets wins, more wins than teams. He's been around for a long time. Everyone knows he's a bloody legend. And you know what? We should try and get him on the podcast. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
I'm going to try. Right. Sorry. I'm interrupting your story.
Not really. Just literally, it's relevant to the Sharks and Patriots. It's great seeing everyone still at this point. This is April the 20th. This game, 1 day left of the season. That's it. It's the last game for both these teams, and they're still fighting for it. That is
what's great about the BBL.
That was my takeaway almost for the game more than anything else. It was a slow start from Sheffield, and sort of like the Patriots matched them, but very, very quickly you get into Q2 and Q3, and Sheffield just put their foot down. And it wasn't like a big step change. It's just something like every possession they made it count. Every possession they made it count, and then they just stopped a few with Patriots, and Patriots weren't dropping. And all of a sudden, you just get this lead suddenly appearing. Shout out to TJ Atwood. He took the final shot in regular time. Off one leg as a fadeaway. That could have won it. That could have won it for Patriots. It was ambitious, should we say. It was like Kobe and Dirk had a baby in this really off-balanced, awkward shot.
He is allowed to do it, Mark. He is great.
Look, if you're going to give someone the shot, TJ puts up big numbers, and yeah, you give him the shot for that. But I think even he would admit he forced it, and it just was not. That wasn't going in. I've never seen someone get that. Like, if you even saw Kobe get it in, he'd be like, "Wow, that was a Hail Mary." It maybe could have had a better shot, but he had a lot of pressure on defense from Surrey.
When I saw that shot, I thought, if anyone can do it, it's TJ.
Well,
it's 30 points, 7 rebounds, Mark, 5 assists.
Well, you say that, but then it went into overtime. So that took them into overtime, and then the Sharks just put it down. But I wouldn't have thought the Sharks versus the Patriots would have been an overtime game. If you just said it on paper, where everyone was respectively in the league. And this goes back to what we're saying.
It's not being disrespectful.
It's not
being disrespectful,
because
you're looking at the standings.
This is in Sheffield as well. You've got to remember, this is Sheffield in the Shark Tank. Patriots are doing an away game. You just would think this is probably going to be tough for them. And they just fought it to take it into overtime. Massive respect for them for that. But, 98-92, Sheffield take the win of their final game, and as a home game, that must be cool for the you could see the fans all loved it.
Yeah.
However, only 2 more games were left, and that was the Scorchers versus the Riders.
Sorry, Mark, can I say one thing?
No.
And this isn't a criticism whatsoever.
Yes.
Jalen Pipkins, really, really quiet.
Very quiet.
Really quiet.
Very quiet.
And I'm a huge fan of him. I love him. I think he's brilliant. He's my kind of player. I've said this many times on the podcast.
Yep.
But just has these really quiet games. And like that last game, even though they got the win, that was one of them. And he played for 30 odd minutes.
Yeah. I mean, 7 points, you'd expect more than that, wouldn't you?
7 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists. I mean, just looking at the box score, it's just a quiet night for him.
Yeah.
He's saving himself for the playoffs.
Maybe. Look, you don't know. There's no reason why arguably they don't have that strenuous a season. When you compare something like this to Europe and the NBA, where they're literally doing double the amount of games, you can't and they're not the level of travel that some of the players are doing is nothing compared to hopping on off of planes and doing time zones and stuff. So, I think as far as resting and fitness, other than injury or anything like that, of course, they should all be performing pretty well. But Sheffield just had if you look at the actual score sheet, if you've got that there, you look at the score sheet, the difference between Sheffield and Plymouth was that Plymouth had like 4 or 5 players who put in double digits.
I'm glad you said that. Yeah. That was the main thing I picked up on. You had 5 players in double digits for points.
Yep.
You got to talk about the what's his first name? What's Levy's first name? Do you know?
Spencer Levi.
Levi. Yeah, he had 12 rebounds. Only him and Green was in double digits for rebounds.
Yep.
And but yeah, I'm glad you highlighted that. There was 5 players in who scored points. Everyone else zero.
And there's 4.
0. Oh, sorry, with the exception of Levi, who had 4 points, but his rebound contribution was good. So really, there was 6 big players there but
there was only
Sheffield,
four big players in Sheffield, okay, that got that had doubles. But the difference was, then you have everyone else but Montgomery.
the team.
Other than Montgomery, you let it side down. You got 0.
Wow.
Wow. He got other
You're
than
out
that,
of order, Mark.
everyone else got on the sheet. Yeah, I'm only joking.
Yeah, but he didn't play.
No, I know. But that's what I'm
He
saying.
didn't come in.
No, all I'm saying is, other than that, he didn't get any minutes. So that's why he didn't get any points. But other than
Hope she's saving him.
every single person, Cock got on the court, 2 minutes he was on, 2 points. Done. Can't ask more than that. Everyone else was on there for about 15 to 20 minutes as a standard. So that's pretty good going. That every single
seven's
person,
a lucky number in Sheffield, I think.
everyone contributed, and you can't ask more than that.
Pipkins 7.
Yep. Right, crack on. Surrey, Leicester. Last game for these two boys. We're playing at Surrey Sports Park. You're going to expect it's going to be noisy more than anything else. Leicester, they've travelled well. Leicester have travelled well.
You got to say at this point.
Yep.
At this point, Surrey know where they stand with everything.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing that's going to happen. Like, if they win or lose to Chester, it wasn't going to affect the standings. And then the only other one you've got is top of the table clash, which isn't going to affect them at all. So the table was over by this point.
Exactly. So where they're playing Leicester, and you look at that and you think, Surrey have got nothing to do at this point. They're not going to do anything there. However, Leicester really needed to win that one, because if Leicester win that one, it then puts them up more towards the 5th position, and then above the Newcastle Eagles. So for Leicester, this was actually an important game. So it wasn't so much for anyone else thinking, oh, we can sit back. They needed to win this to make sure that they got the better pick and then win the playoff.
Huge game, wasn't it? Huge.
Yeah, look, everyone will talk about Teddy Allen, but you highlighted in the last game.
Teddy Buckets.
You got, Buckets. He's hitting 30. He's doing his job. He's getting 37 minutes and putting 30 points in. That's what he's there to do. And I'm not putting it down, but I'm just saying that's what he's there to do, and he does it. But you've got to look at the supporting cast. And Leicester's supporting cast weren't that strong. In comparison to Surrey, it seems, look, Russell puts some in, Bowman puts some in, Thomas puts some in. That's fine. But when I look at Surrey, you go, they again did a whole cross the board thing. Other than people who didn't get any minutes, everyone got on the sheet. Everyone put some stats up, and they were important stats. So although Leicester took that win, I actually would credit Surrey that one. And I do love looking at Surrey's court, because it's a bit like in the studio where we've got the blue background here. They've got that big blue wall, haven't they? I kind of like that. But yeah, so Riders got that, and then that secured their place in the table. And then the final game of the season is, before we do this, I'm going to do one of these. I would like to say congratulations to Bowman, because he squeezed through in a play to make a bucket and got the and one. And then he missed it. And he was celebrating so hard that he'd secured that and one. But he didn't actually secure it. So it was credit to him, because he actually saw a gap that no one else saw, and the play had kind of stopped and everyone bunched together, and he just took a Euro step and carried on and laid it up, and no one contested him. So I give him credit for thinking on that one, but he just didn't secure the one, which I'm not a fan of. So you got to do better than that, Bowman.
You're out of order, Mark.
No, you got to hit them. If you get in your and one, celebrate it if you get it. If you don't get it, well done. But anyway, so the last game was Phoenix and Lions, and as you've said, what differences is this going to make realistically?
Bit of spice. But you know what? There's a mental side to this game that is gonna. I know there's lots of people talking about, is this going to be the player final? So This game is important because it's the last time you guys are potentially, this is the last time you're going to meet until you potentially meet in the finals, if that happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which I don't think is a cert, but there's a bit of spice on it, isn't it? I mean, look, London Lions are going to be frustrated. I almost swore then. London Lions are going to be frustrated from that loss, especially when you got characters like LaQuincy Rideau, who I love. He's brilliant, isn't he? He just gets under, like, he's so passionate.
Yeah.
I love seeing that.
Yeah, I love seeing that. I mean, it's funny, isn't it? Because you think you're playing in Cheshire, and you would expect, realistically, you're playing the Lions. It's going to kind of go one way, and yeah, the Lions did win it, 105-92, but it wasn't all their own way. It was actually hotly contested, and it got a bit spicy a couple of times. So I guess we go straight into it. I won't say you don't agree with it, but first thing you got to look at is you about 30 minutes into the game, you get the old slap. So what happened was Phillips drove in and was going up for the shot. Skylar White came out, slapped it out of it, and I think he shouted like, "Get out of here," or something like that.
There's going to be something along those variations, Mark, I think.
Oh, well, you say that. You can actually hear the audio. One of the clips that's floating around, you can hear the audio of what he actually says.
Oh, it's clean, is it? It's clean.
Yeah. He doesn't say anything like that. However, it looks like... So he was the one who rejected him, and this is an important bit. So LaQuincy Rideau is nowhere nearby. LaQuincy appears, and it looks like he puts his hand out to help up Philip. And
that is sportsmanship right there, Mark.
Well,
sportsmanship.
One of the other players pushes LaQuincy out the way, and you think, all right, this is weird. Maybe he must have said something to him, like, "Oh, do you want to help up, love?" or something like that, or something like got under his skin. Philip just started jawing at him, stood up right in front of him, and then gave him a slap round the face. Now, whether you like it or not, whether it's like a little slap or whatever it is, you can't do it. It's just...
I would classify it as a tap.
Doesn't matter. You cannot put... Literally, if you just got your finger and tapped it on someone's cheek, you can't do it. Like, even if you did it on his arm, that's like, you'd be like, come on, you can't be slapping around or pushing. You can't touch someone in the face. Just doing like a slap on the cheek. I mean, put it this way, you can't do that. It wasn't
physical. I mean, like,
it's a slap.
It was a little tap. It wasn't like a...
Look, I've played with you long enough. If someone did that to you, you would have gone batshit crazy, and you would have been screaming at those refs, and it'd have been like a Tasmanian devil trying to get you off that person.
I would have gone next play.
And LaQuincy,
next play.
LaQuincy just there.
It was a little tap.
Yeah, but the point is, you can't put hands on players. It doesn't matter.
No, I get that.
You can't do that. And especially in the face. You see it in the NBA. There's a foul, someone's get tripped up and all those. That's one thing. You can't slap someone. It's just weird. And it doesn't look good for Philip, because it's like, mate, you can't really do stuff like that. Now, we all know in basketball, everyone talks shit. Everyone swears. Everyone says horrific things. And just to try and get under people's skin. It's just, if you want to hear a funny one, go listen to Kevin Garnett talking about Tim Duncan and how he was trying to get under his skin, and Duncan would just say nothing, and it just wouldn't work. And then Duncan would wind Garnett up because he didn't get under his skin. So go listen to that. It's on YouTube somewhere. It's hilarious. But Philip, so LaQuincy just sort of shrugs and just like walks off, and you go, obviously there was some stirring, but you just can't do it. So anyway, fast forward to the end of the game, it all starts feathers ruffling again, and all they're doing is walking along, shaking hands, and well done. Last game of the whole championship for the season. That's it. Championship's done, and the Lions have won, and they're in Cheshire, and then it all kicks off again, and everyone starts tussling.
Handbags.
But the best bit was Cheshire fans all booing, and it was, if you hear the audio, the way it got. I mean, in the crowd, it must have been one thing. But when it comes across, it's like a really bad pantomime where everyone's like booing the wolf that's coming to eat the sheep.
That's great. That's showing passion. That's what you want to see from home fans. That's what you want to see. Yeah. I love it. I did have actually a great story about talking crap to a player, but I don't. This might put me across in a bad light, so I don't know whether to share it or not. Do you know the one I'm going to talk about? I've never spoken about this.
Well, I do. Let me finish up the stats so you can say it. So basically, they ruffled them. Lions took the start, but basically, Cheshire got the half and took the half by 5 points. But then Morgan and David Nwaba, 12 for 0. And that that literally flipped it. So Matt Morgan and David literally combined on that play, and that 12-0 run just flipped the whole game, and that was it. Then London got in front, and they never looked back. That was it.
Hey, you got to talk about Matt Morgan being Mr. Consistency throughout this entire season.
30-point game, I think he had there.
Look, yeah, he scored 30 points, 5 rebounds, 4 steals.
Yeah,
love a bloody steal. But look at the league table. London didn't just win. They won by 20 clear points.
Yeah, they decimated everyone.
They only had 3 losses this season. And you got to say, Matt Morgan was Mr. Consistency throughout the entire season. We've been talking about him all year.
Yeah.
What a player. What a player.
And the two out of those 3 losses that London had were not very good teams, were they? I believe one was Surrey and I believe one was Plymouth.
Yeah. Yeah. It's weird, actually. I thought they would have more losses now than they did. I remember, what was it? Back in November, I predicted to you they'll end the season with 4 losses, and it's 3. I thought they'd have a few more. But look, you can't discredit them. What a season they've had. What a season they've had.
Absolutely. And again, just to reiterate that when you've got people like, someone's going to come off the bench, so Matt Morgan's going to sub in, and David Nwaba
Sam Decker subs in.
Then Sam Decker comes in, and then you go, Gabriella Lassini's going in. Then Josh Sharma's subbing out, and you go, okay, so all of these players just
they got a squad
on their own would be the star player for any team, and they just have 5 of them just there. Oh, Conor Morgan just got a personal foul. Oh, that's a shame. It's like it's constant depth. There are players that they've got on the team, in fact, that they don't really use that much, and it's just surprising. I think I would always expect a bit more, especially at this point. I think Queeley, and there was someone else as well. I can't think of his name. I'll have to look at it. But Mo Soluade, they just, they don't use, because they've got such great core players. What do you need it for? And it goes back to, can they keep them?
Yeah.
Can they keep? If you're finishing top, you're doing well in Europe. They are all, yes, they're part of the Lions, but they're all also their own brands, effectively. And if you're a team in Europe and you've got actual money to spend, with the
look, they've done great. They've done great.
They've done great. They really have done great.
And I don't know why this popped in my mind. Do you know Rocky 4?
I will break you.
I will break you. Yeah, yes. And basically, you got Rocky going up against the Russian juggernaut. Yeah,
it's Ivan Drago, I believe.
And at one point, Rocky throws this punch, and the commentator, the way he says it is great. He goes, "He's cut. The Russian is cut."
Yeah.
For me, I think of the BBL trophy.
Yeah.
I'm like, London is cut. The Lions is cut.
Mm.
But let's see what happens in the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, that's the end of the league. Let's just run it quickly as it stands. In 10th position, Plymouth City Patriots. 9th position, Manchester Giants, despite those 2 epic wins. 8th.
So they miss out on the playoffs.
So those 2 are out. They're out of the playoffs, done. And they couldn't have caught them if they tried, because they've got 7 and 9 wins respectively. So as of now, this is the playoff positions. And in 8th was Surrey Scorchers with 14 wins. 7th was Bristol with 16 wins.
Best logo.
6th, Newcastle Eagles with 18 wins. 5th, Leicester Riders with 18 wins as well. So I couldn't work out what that was with the Leicester Riders and Eagles. Why is 1 6th, 1 5th?
It'll be head to head.
And it's all down to those head-to-head stats. I had to go and look at it because on paper you go wins, losses, and points. They're all the same. It's just down to the head-to-heads. So Leicester, that win that they took against the Scorchers was that critical. So with the Scorchers, they're just ruffling feathers. They're not going to do any better, but they really, the Eagles would have been sat there watching thinking, please, just get something crazy in. 4th position, Sheffield Sharks, the Shark Tank. I would never have put them there. They were like 7th or 8th at least. Sort of towards the middle of the season, they just weren't picking up any slack.
They started strong though. They started great,
and then they just again collapsed. And then Bristol, I think Bristol were up there in 3rd and just fell off. This table has moved so much, but then you get to the top 3, and they're pretty much where you expect to be. Caledonia, 3rd place, 23 wins. Cheshire, 23 wins. And
Gladiators caught up.
And
they caught up.
They did. And, if Cheshire had won, it wouldn't have made a difference. However, with Caledonia, if the Flyers had beaten them, that could have made a difference.
Yeah.
So this whole last week, one game could have just sent a ripple, which would really confuse them going into the playoffs. So those playoff games are the 26th and 28th when the games are being played.
Come on, Mark. It's number 1. Champions of the league.
London Lions. They are playing Scorchers. That's going to be, interesting. At the Copper Box, they have it's the best of 3 games. That's how they do it in the playoff. And obviously the people in the top 4 get the home court advantage. So Copper Box first, then go play Scorch, and then back to London again. Next game is going to be Cheshire Phoenix versus Bristol Flyers. That could be an interesting one. Could be. Bristol they're a big team, so they could disrupt Cheshire a little bit, but I think Cheshire have got enough depth, so they'll be all right. Following on from that, we've got Caledonia. Caledonia going to be playing the Eagles. That's going to be a brilliant, 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 brilliant set of games. No question there. And finally, Sheffield Sharks against Leicester Riders. So if I had to pick those, well, actually, you go. You tell me who's going through. Because this is like quarterfinals already, isn't it? So
yeah. I think they're going to be a lot of game 3s. Is
really?
What I would say. I think there's going to be a lot of game 3s. I think London are going to do well, obviously, but Sharks and Riders are so close to each other. It's how do that's going to go to a game 3, I think.
Well, if you think the difference between the Sharks and Riders and Eagles,
yeah, exactly,
is one game. That's it.
Yeah.
So Sharks and Riders arguably have the tougher game in a way, because although Eagles and Caledonia, whoever goes through to them, they're going to be playing the.
But we've seen
Lions.
With all of these teams, with the exception of London, anyone can beat anyone, and anyone can beat London on a day. Look at what happened in the BBL Trophy Final. Cheshire had a great day. They turned up. London started off slow. Bam, they lost. It was a one-off game. You only need one game against London. Changes everything. Who do I? If I was a betting man, you would obviously say London. Well, I'm out, Mark. This is so hard.
Come on, you got to put it down. You got to tell us now. I'm literally writing it down.
Well, I like an upset.
Yeah,
I like an upset. It's really hard though, because I genuinely really like the Newcastle Eagles, and I love the Gladiators. And you're asking me to pick it's difficult. I gotta say Newcastle, Mark, because they sent me the jersey.
Wow.
They sent me the jersey, so I got to say Newcastle. But I think Gladiator will win. But I'll say Newcastle. I think it'll be tight. You got Ricky McGill on your team. Who knows what will happen?
I think Caledonia will take that.
Okay. If you say Caledonia, I'll say Newcastle.
Yeah, I think Caledonia. It'd be lovely to see. I'd like to see both teams do well. I just think Caledonia have that defensive depth. I mean, Newcastle have got some great scorers, so have Caledonia, but Caledonia have that defensive depth, and Clifton Moore Jr. and people like that. You go, I don't think Newcastle have someone to answer that, but they are a great team.
See.
As a team, they're fantastic.
We'll
so
see. We'll see. I think we're both going to consistently say London for the next one.
That's going to be a 2-0.
Okay.
That's going to be a sweep.
I
Genuinely, I think it's going to be a game 3. Caledonia Eagles. I think that'll be a game 3 game.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Sheffield, Mark.
Oh, do you know what? I was thinking that.
What? You've been talking about Teddy Buckets for
I know. No.
2 months.
Because of
now you're going to portray him.
No, I was thinking their recent form. They're just doing so well. But I'd still got to stick with Mackenzie, Teddy Buckets.
Leicester.
Yeah, I've got to go Leicester. Really,
I've got.
It's going to be
friends in Sheffield.
That's going to be a 3 game as well, 100%.
Well, I've got friends in Sheffield. I agree. Game 3 will be in Sheffield, and Sheffield will take it. I've got friends in Sheffield, and if I don't say up Sheffield, I'll be in trouble. So I've got to go with the Sharks in the Shark Tank. Game 3.
I think anyone listening is shocked you got friends. Listen, Phoenix Flyers. I'm saying that's a sweep.
I don't know, but yeah, I'll go Cheshire.
I just can't see Bristol competing on when even their head-to-heads. It's just not going to happen there. So if that's the case, then what?
If that's the case of what, then what?
So it should be, in theory, they haven't put up a table. I like a video, not a video, but I like a little
graphic.
Table. Just
a graphic would be good.
Yeah,
like the NBA playoffs.
Yeah, you just want a little bracket, don't you, just to see. Should be, in theory, that if you go the top 4 teams, they're usually separated. So on that basis, the Lions, if they won, should in theory play. It would be the Sharks or the Riders, I'm guessing. Would that be right, or would that be the Gladiators?
Yeah, I think it's going to be London Gladiators is what we're saying, or in my case, London Newcastle.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's going to be 1 versus 3, so which would be London versus either Eagles or Gladiators, or is it 1 versus 4 and 2 versus 3? That's what I'm not sure about. So I don't know how they do it, but I'll have to look.
Well, I can't find a graphic anywhere actually. They missed a trick there.
Yeah,
someone's missed a trick there. Because that's. I was just about to say the word standard, but yeah, I can't find anything anywhere.
Yeah, you would like to think that you just have. I know it sounds silly, but if you want people to come and watch and keep watching, you have to sort of educate people sometimes. And this is what you're watching. This is what you're looking at. If that makes sense.
That's what we're here for, Mark.
It is. Yeah, we do.
Educational purposes.
Yeah, we try to be.
Look, London are almost certainly get all the way. Yeah. They've lost 3 games all season. The other way is a lot more difficult because, again, we're seeing all these upsets. But I guess we're looking at London, Cheshire, the BBL Trophy final in the playoffs.
Yep.
And
I mean, I personally, I'd like to see a solid exactly like the trophy. Basically, I want to see that. I want to see that again because they did the trophy so well, and all the teams were up for it, and everyone was fighting to win that. I want to see this at that point. Is that
a one-off game? Was that a best of 3?
As one-off. Whereas
wow.
I know it's the best of 3.
Really?
Yeah.
It's just a one-off game for the final.
Oh no! Sorry, I thought you meant the trophies. Yeah, these are best of 3, I believe.
Okay.
And then it goes to the finals. Which again,
okay, cool.
I think it's the finals, the final, I believe, but could be wrong.
You could think Cheshire might get a game if it's them, London. Anyone could get a game. To beat them over a 3-game series, I can't see it.
I would have always thought if you looked at it, it should be the Lions. You know, we're not saying that for Scorchers, but let's say it is the Lions who go through. It theoretically should be either Sharks or Riders, whoever's going through. It should be Lions versus them, and in which case it would be, Caledonia or Eagles versus Phoenix and Flyers. So that's what I would say, just based on 1, 2, 3, and 4. I would have thought they would have separated them, just how they've done it. But, again, if you had an East versus West, that's what, with the NBA, that's one of the things, isn't it? You have the East versus West, and it's whoever's the top of each tier, they get to play each other.
Yeah.
So if you had,
there we go.
If you had double the teams in the BBL, and you had 20 teams, and there was enough in North and South to represent, that's how you could create that, wouldn't it? But yeah, so
all eyes on next couple of weeks in the BBL.
Yeah.
But what are we going to do every week without these BBL weekly podcasts?
Well, we'll have to do some more interviews. We'll have to talk to some more people, and we'll have to just do more, basically.
I can see if I can get the Portsmouth FC Basketball Club head of security back on.
Well, if you didn't hear the head of security, go back and listen to the beginning of the episode again. You'll be able to check her out. We have got coming up our 100th episode, and we're very excited about it. And we're going to be lots and lots of things. We've got loads of things in the pipeline. Go back and check all of our old episodes. As I said, we've got 99 of them, and we're going to do more and more. So keep listening. I have been Mark.
I have been Paul. Can I just say a huge shout out to the Reading Rockets in the NBL Div 1, beating Derby by 3 points. Huge, 4th seed. Mark, we've got to talk about the NBL. Some huge results. Huge results coming up. Obviously, we brought up congratulations to Derby Trailblazers, who won the NBL Div 1 League. But in the playoff semi-final, they got beat by the Reading Rockets, number 4 seed. That is huge. They lost by 3 points. Absolutely huge result for them. And I'm sure the Derby Trailblazers and Matt Shaw will be disappointed by that. But Reading Rockets are off to the final to take on the great team, the Hemel Storm, former team, Ryan Rye.
Oh yeah, of course. It's the former
But Mark,
team.
it gets even better than that. Even better than that.
Do it.
Do you know I said a couple of weeks ago we watched an absolutely fantastic game. Sorry, I watched it and you jumped on the last minute, or maybe not at all. We want the highlights. I don't know. But do you know you had the Solent Kestrels at home against the Milton Keynes Breakers?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Whoever won by, it was like a 7-point deficit would win the league.
That's right.
Those two teams are off to Manchester to take each other on in the NBL Div 2 playoff final. That's going to be quality. That is going to be quality.
That'll be a great game. Is it being televised?
I don't know, but I hope so. If it is, I'll definitely watch that. And you got to talk about the Solent Kestrels. If they can keep their squad out of foul trouble, let's see what will happen. Again, I think foul trouble came into it for them for that last home game. And it will be, I'm actually, that is the one game I'm actually really excited to watch. And it will be this weekend, I believe.
Wow.
I'd be shocked if that's not on TV. But I also got to have a shout out.
Saturday, the 27th of April, 6 p.m. at the National Basketball Performance Centre.
That's going to be on. It's going to be on something. It'll be online. It'll be somewhere. But in particular, that game I'm really interested in because we had a lot of I'd had a lot of communication with Pete Taylor at the Milton Keynes Breakers, and he's been doing a lot of positive stuff with that organisation, building it up. So it'll be great to I guess see that fairy tale story end with them in the going through Div 3, getting the cup win, and then getting to Div 1. That would be great for them. In the same breath, Solent Kestrels is just down the road, and I like to see them do well. Even though they're our rivals, I like to see them do well. And yeah, I'm kind of torn a little bit. I don't know. What are you like with that, Mark?
No, I want Kestrels to win.
Yeah?
Yeah. You know, when watching that game, when they lost it, was so frustrating. And I just think they could have got that game. That I want them to win, because then it's kind of, okay, we're not redeemed ourselves, but we've chucked that. But, you know, they can hold their heads up a bit. Either which way, if they go out fighting, that's all I want to watch. And that is exactly why it should be televised. That's why anyone who is in marketing, wherever this, and this is NBL, so this will be BE. And anyone in Basketball England, if you're listening to this, you should be marketing the butt off that thing, because that is going to be an amazing game for anyone who wants to go and watch a basketball game, or anyone who wants to be introduced to it, or any kids, or anyone who's, you know, older generations who think, oh, I haven't put that on. I haven't put a basketball game on. I haven't watched that for ages. That will be a game to watch, won't it? 100%.
Yeah, like this is set up. I mean, what an exciting game we had end of the season. What an exciting game that was. And I was just gutted that I wasn't there. I was watching it in bed with freaking teeth hanging out. But it was an exciting game to watch. And again, like, I'm just looking at the finals, Mark. Sorry, the semi-finals. Kestrel's win by 59 points. Milton Keynes Breakers 110. St. Helens Saints 66. So both of these teams have demolished the opposition.
Oh, yeah.
And it is set up for such an exciting final.
Yep.
It's the one I'm looking forward to. And I'm not saying that because I'm really not biased whatsoever. Whoever wins. But if you want to watch a good game of basketball, I tell you now, watch that, because that's going to be close.
And that's my point.
Yeah.
Any person who is in a local league club round the country, you should be supporting the teams like this, because this is the pathway for going and playing a pickup game some evenings, to then going and playing at a better level, then playing and doing proper training, to then getting to this sort of level. And then this is National League. And at this point, I won't say that the games matter, but you can see every one of those players, they're putting in a lot of effort and a lot of time to reach a good quality of basketball.
Not that many people would know this, but when the Portsmouth Force lose, I always say, well, I think we can all agree that basketball was the winner today. And that's how I always phrase a loss. Okay. But I genuinely believe this. With this game's Kestrels versus the Milton Keynes Breakers, basketball will be the winner. I genuinely believe that, because I think it's going to be exciting. It's the only thing. I'm pumped for it now.
Yeah, and it really should be. I was just trying to look and see, is the actual game being televised anywhere? And I can't.
I'm sure it will. It's a pain in the balls, but usually what happens is the link goes out right towards the end of the week. Or someone sends a link out and you go, oh, okay, here's the link online, and you go and watch it that way. But anyway, look, I've said D1, D2, so let's do D3 as well. It's the Essex Rebels, second team taking on the Barnet Bulldogs. And because I've said those guys, let's go back and talk about the Div 1 women's team, which is going to see the Endeavour Ipswich. Ipswich are always a strong team in the women's league, and they're taking on the Kohler Southwark Pride team.
Yep.
And in D2 we have the greatest name of a basketball team, the Sheffield Hatters. I really like that name. I'd like to call them the Mad Hatters.
I'd imagine they do.
I don't think that's great. Everyone should have certain hats on. Going against the Cobham Cobras, both number 1 seeds. That's going to be a good game as well. So, yeah, look, Mark, NBL is got some exciting games coming up this weekend, as well as the BBL.
Look, I mean, it's worth saying that when you have the WNBL and the NBL, the first thing that we commented in our BBL mention was that there was no playoff bracket, there was no layout. first thing they've done, you go on to Basketball England, you look down, there's the bracket. Straight away, oh, this is who they played, this is where they've played. So even someone joining that game now and just saying, I want to see what's happening, they know.
Yeah. Well, all eyes on Saturday, Manchester. See what goes on. I think it's Manchester.
Yeah. Say that. I'm just looking now.
I'm fairly confident I've read a post saying...
I thought it said National Basketball Centre, yeah. Yeah, National Basketball Performance Centre, 27th and 28th of April. That's when they're being played.
Yeah.
So you had a story, didn't you?
The story from earlier.
Yeah. We glazed over that.
We did glaze over it, but this could put me in a bad light, Mark. That's why I'm not sure about it.
I mean, things have been said. Things can be edited, but I don't like doing that. So
I'll say this story to you, and I know you go back and listen to the edits. If you don't think it's appropriate, take it out. All right. You were talking about heated confrontations.
Yeah.
When you were talking about Cheshire versus London, last game of the season. And it just reminded me, I can't remember what you said, but it reminded me of a game that I played when I was playing in the NBL Div 2 playoffs. It was I'm going to say the team. I'm going to highlight my name to them all.
You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you do or say can be used against you in a court of law. You do have a right to an attorney. If you do not have one can be appointed for you on the court's basis. There we go.
There will be a lot of people who are at this game and didn't know what happened unless they would have just seen they would have seen the visual. So what happened was it was NBL Div 2 playoff semi-final. And it was Portsmouth. We were called the Portsmouth Smugglers, and we were taking on, I want to call them the Sefton Stars. I think it was a Sheffield team, somewhere up there, or around that area. And they had a couple of French guys who, let's face it, played an outstanding game. And I remember I want to say late in the third quarter, Mickey Byrne put me in the game, and he said, Mark number 8. I think it was 18. Mark number 18. And he was scoring all their points at the time. And I took pride in stopping him score. That was what I was concentrating. Stop him, be physical. I was really pushing him around. And I was irritating him a lot. And we got into the fourth quarter. Got all the way to the fourth quarter. He scored 2 points, I think, on an entire quarter on me. But he was trash talking me the entire quarter. Trash talking, and we're down by, I want to say, 16 or 18 points with 2 minutes left. Okay, and they're all over us. Now, I'm not proud of what I'm about to say, but it's entertaining for everyone else. Okay. Look at your face. Do you know this story?
Of course I know the story. I know exactly what you're going to say.
Oh, so should I say it or not?
Why not? You've got this. What, you're going to tell everyone this story and then just leave them hanging?
You can edit it out. No. Anyway, for the entire fourth quarter, he was saying, I'm going to score on you. And he kept on saying this, I'm going to score. And it's like, okay. And it got to a point where it was like, we're out the playoffs. It was frustrating. We're not going to get to D1. And it was just pure frustration. Emotion came out. And he said it again, I'm going to score on you. And I have never said this in a game, ever. And I turned around to him and went, I'm going to score on your mum tonight. He then turned around to me and went, my mum died 2 weeks ago, and then headbutted me in the face.
Yep.
Followed by a couple of hooks in the face as well. And like both teams kind of came together, and I was like more shock. And it was one of those moments where I was like, for all the Portsmouth fans watching, they just saw a Sheffield guy start punching one of the Portsmouth guys in the face. So they were really, really booing. And I remember turning around to he was a French guy, I think, from what I remember. And there's another French guy when you're out of order. And I was like, man, I didn't know. He was talking trash. And I remember saying, look, I apologize, but if people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones, you know what I mean? But it was embarrassing
100%.
saying it. But I remember he got kicked out. Obviously, he got kicked out of the game. And as he went to walk out the court, I felt so guilty. I held my hand out to shake his hand. I said, I'm so sorry. I apologize. I didn't know. I apologize. He then pushed my hand and went trying to start it all off again. Crowd kicked off. Boo! He was being booed the crap out of. And then he went to the changing room. I remember going and taking free throws after that, and that was really difficult because I felt so guilty shooting free throws because of being just been punched in the face.
I don't care about the rest of us now. You were shooting free throws. Did you score?
Honestly, I cannot remember. I remember going to the line and their entire team basically going, "You're so out of order." But it was like, man, he was trash talking me. I don't even know what. I was just frustrated. That's what I said. And anyway, we went to the game finished. They won by like 14, 16. And someone came up to me and went, he is tearing up the changing room. He is tearing up saying he's going to kill you. And I was like, oh, man. So I was taken to my own changing room and they locked the door. They locked me in there so I could get changed. And yeah, I remember Mickey Byrne, legend, he came in and went, Paul, this guy's going to kill you. So you need to, there's a fire exit there. You need to go in a fire exit and just run home. Because in those days, I only lived about 10 minutes away from where we were playing. And yeah, that's that story.
Wow. I mean, I'm sure the head of security at Portsmouth FC Basketball will be seriously proud of that story.
Well, if anyone's listening who was there, I'm sure there'll be a few people listening who were there. They will now know why he headbutted me and punched me several times in the face.
Yeah. I mean, the reaction's understandable, and that reality is you're not going to know, are you? But anyone can say that's the thing with trash talking, isn't it? It's sort of, it's easy to do in a way with it all comes from like the NBA, seeing all the NBA players jawing away, and you go, that's great. And they say loads of stuff and that. There's certain things, like even the NBA players, they won't cross lines. They're not going to say stuff about people's kids and those sort of things. Like, there's bits that they just don't go to. But if you don't know, you don't know, do you? So,
yeah, that's the only. My two thoughts were with it. I felt really guilty, obviously.
Yep.
Really guilty.
Good.
But in the same breath, I was like, if you're that potential going to explode, you should not be trash talking someone. If someone could say one random thing, I mean, like I said to you, I never said that to anyone before in an entire gag ever in my life. And it was just the one thing I could say to try and piss him off because we just lost the semi-finals of the playoffs. And it just happened to be the one thing that I should not have said. And he absolutely exploded. You know what the most saddest thing about that moment is? He got
that you insulted his
my
dead
understanding. Mum? Yeah.
That's probably the saddest bit, that the guy had buried his mum 14 days before and you insulted her. That's probably the saddest bit, yeah.
He got suspended for the final, and his team lost the final. I think 2 of them got suspended, is my understanding. And that was one of the things. It's like, oh man, like, I don't know. But yeah, anyway, that was the story that popped in my head with that handbag.
Someone didn't communicate the context, did they? But at the end of the day, goes back to what we said earlier about someone just doing a slap or whatever. I mean, that was a headbutt and so forth. But the bottom line is you can't put hands on people. You just can't do it. So you're going to get, it's a game. Are you a professional player? No, you're not even getting paid for it. So they can just go, mate, you're out. Don't worry about it. Don't turn up. You can put a shirt on if you want. You're not playing. That
was that story.
Well, I mean, yeah. Look,
you're making me feel guilty again.
What?
I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have told you.
Well, you know, it was funny at the time.
It wasn't funny at the time.
I'm sure it was hysterical.
I thought I was going to be killed.
Thought you were at home that night, chuckling away, feeling good about yourself.
I was not. I felt really guilty for years and years and years and years.
No, you won't.
Anyway, right, let's wrap up.
Let's wrap up. No one's going to know that, are they? You can just. That's like saying, I'm going to run your dog over and your dog got run over 2 days ago. Like, you've no way of knowing that, dear. And if you did know, that would have been harsh. But if you don't,
I think our listeners will like that story. Listeners will like that one.
Well, they'll understand the story. Whether they'll like it or not, we're not sure. But, you know. So this is coming up to our 97, 98th episode, something like that, depending on the order they go out in. If you haven't listened to our episodes, go back and check them out. Because, as I said, we're coming up to 100, big deal for us, and we thank each and every one of you for any listen, any shares, telling your friends to go and check it out, dropping us comments and emails and all sorts of things. So thank you so much. I have been Mark.
I have been Paul, and I would like to apologise to France and Sefton Stars for something that happened 20 years ago.